all the harvest, all the results, it's the fruit of a past that cost us a lot. It's interesting because, and the more we discover the value of the past, the greater our capacity to value the present moment. How many years did it take us to achieve so many things? I'm not even talking just about the material dimension, right? It's no problem for us to work. Materially, we have comfort, but I'm talking about other achievements. That result that you identify in yourself, that was a fruit of a lot of walking. Maturity, right? Emotional, spiritual, and psychic maturity. How much do we need to walk to be able to enjoy the benefits of maturity? Sometimes I think, my people, that nothing can be more. It's harmful to us. Nothing can be a greater loss than us not fighting for maturity, because maturity is precisely existential comfort. Only it can give us assistance comfort, so much so that we can think of them as the same thing. Maturity and existential comfort. What are these? What is existential comfort? It's when you realize that despite facing conflicts, you enjoy an inner balance. Then face conflict with maturity. The immature suffer much more. Immaturity is a high price to pay because it is from it that we are selfish. And being selfish, it makes our fulfillment much more difficult because we can only live fulfilled lives to the extent that we know how to share who we are and what we have. The immature suffer precisely because they do not understand the movement of time, the changes that life brings in each phase of life. This week we begin spring. It is so significant to change situations. Do you notice the movement of time? In each season there is beauty, but there is also discomfort. Spring is the time of beauty. Everything is very flowery, but it is also discomfort for those with allergies. Each phase of life has its beauties and also its discomforts. But maturity teaches us to perceive the whole that we have in our hands and enjoy it. The immature, right? The immature only wants that. What's good for them? Only the good part of the story. And so they end up depriving themselves of the whole season. Because we grow a lot when we live with restrictions. Restrictions educate us. And it's very interesting when we are mature enough to freely seek restrictions that educate us. This is the meaning of fasting. For example, Chinese data. We don't do it because there is a God watching us and writing it down in his notebook. How long do we go without eating this, without eating that, as if God were a negotiator? No, but it's that repercussion within us. Today I was able to not eat that candy. So, my body was freed from all the harmful effects of sugar. Today I was able to not drink. What if? Today I was able to not smoke that cigarette, and so on. Sacrifices that really have an impact within us, right? First, because they educate our will, and then because they free us from vices. Vicious behavior, for example, is only possible, and that we pour maturity over understanding. What does it hurt us? The immature is the one who will live the vice in an inconsequential way, and from the inconsequence, in this inconsequential way, hurt a series of people who live next door. Immaturity brings us many harms. When we are immature, we are capable of loving. Yes, because it deprives us of the origin of love, which is precisely the giving. Immaturity. It makes us jealous, and when we are driven by jealousy, we are not capable of loving the other with freedom. And it even drives people away, because no one can stand it. No one can stand a love that holds, a love that wants for itself. I have a great grace of having been the son of a woman who never held me to her. That is something I admire in my mother. Many things, right? I admire her a lot. Many things in my mother's story will forever be life lessons for me. But one thing has always caught my attention in her. It's the freedom with which she loves me, with which she loved my brothers. She never wanted to keep us for herself. When she found out that I was being treated well in that place, that made her happy. Because sometimes jealous love isn't about not wanting the other to do for you what only they want to do. So, when we are jealous, we are deprived of living the purity of love. Then we will fall into self-interested love. Self-interested loves, which are much more an unfolding of our needs than of our values. Yes, because I can love out of need, when I am moved by my needs. And I can love out of value, that is, when I am not moved by my needs. There are people who give themselves because they want recognition all the time, using a language that isn't even that clear. They keep asking for that recognition, when in fact, the movement of love should be a step through your life. Am I doing well? I won't come back to bring the build-out course when there's a close bond in the daily life between husband and wife, mother, child, siblings, friends. This reciprocity is a response, but never made from a demand, never born from a demand. It is not gratuitousness. The fact, my people here, is that as we mature, we achieve this inner freedom, because from it we become self-critical. Only the free and the truly free are able to look at themselves, realize their mistakes, realize their errors, realize their weaknesses. Do they not put obstacles in the way of reaching the core of their truth? The free and those who are self-critical, they make a difference in the world, because it becomes an instrument of transformation. I find it very beautiful, not even Jesus. This movement he always makes towards a goal, to free it. You can see that Jesus' words had the power to provoke in the other a questioning that liberated, the one he placed before, of his history, before his mistakes, before their past, but also in the face of their possibilities. Jesus put a word that caused restlessness and naturally led there to a process of maturity, because we grow and mature from the moment we face our restlessness. When I look straight at that, it unsettles. When I am not afraid of my conflicts, and this human process, it is naturally religious. This happiness, what does this song talk about? What do I need to be? I have no doubt that the first point is to seek maturity daily, emotional maturity, effective spiritual maturity. When I live the spiritual maturity, for example, let's take the spiritual dimension. If I am immature, I will establish a relationship with God, always guided by what he wants, what I want him to do for me. There is no gratuitousness. I look to God and see in him the one who will satisfy me of all my desires, who will do everything I want. This is immaturity. Maturity in faith, we place before God much more like a free relationship than necessarily imposing my prayer, for example. I am more free. I am more mature as I look to God, as a friend who accompanies me, who is by my side, helping me to clarify what I still don't know, to know what I still don't know, but never with a crutch. God is my friend. Spiritual maturity leads me to experience with God, friend. I always like to take that encounter of Jesus with the Samaritan woman. What does Jesus do with the Samaritan woman? He frees that woman from a religiosity that did not favor her. It is because she was a Samaritan, she was a woman, and she was on the margins, justifiably on the margins. The religious discourse segregated because of the fact of being a Samaritan, because of the fact of being a woman. Jesus places within her a liberating word that makes that woman reinterpret herself, see, because then she places herself before a true God, and she asks, why would God reject me for being a woman? Because that God would reject me for being a Samaritan? And she realized that what she heard from the religious leaders who believe in God's right to reject someone for being a woman and for being a Samaritan didn't make sense. Jesus was presenting that woman. There's a merciful God who doesn't distinguish between people, who doesn't look at race, who doesn't look at sex in order to love. He loves for the simple fact of being a creature, in his image and likeness. By sowing that woman with liberating words, Jesus sowed maturity within her, allowing her to mature. Yes, because it's interesting, my friends. Sometimes some events mature us so much. In a short space of time, we gain maturity because of the struggle itself, because of the difficulty itself. Maturity makes us lighter, less complicated. We have more access to others, and others have more access to us. And we also learn to close doors whenever not everything needs to be accessible. Maturity leads us to say what really needs to be said, to be silent about what needs to be silent. I'm afraid when I talk too much that it could be the result of my maturity. Just this week I was saying, it's not. There are people who disagree, not because they disagree, because they want to be seen. We deal with people like that all the time. Verbose people, right? Who talk, when, in fact, they've been saying things they shouldn't for a long time. For the simple fact that they don't realize the reasons What makes them talk so much? Because of immaturity. We hurt with our exaggeration when there's excess. With our indiscretion, because of our immaturity. Our neediness, because when I'm immature, my needs prevail. Because if I don't put it in, the owner, will she tame me? Either I dominate my needs or they dominate me. So I often demonstrate my immaturity like this. With my excesses, everything has to be because of immaturity. We hurt with our exaggeration when there's excess. With our indiscretion, because of our immaturity, our neediness. Because when I am immature, my needs prevail. Because if I didn't put in Donna, will she tame me? Either I dominate my needs or they dominate me. So many times I demonstrate my immaturity like this. With my excesses, everything has to be according to my will. Everything has to be in accordance, according what I prescribed. I cannot lose. I cannot be contradicted. And isn't it like that? Life is only alive from the moment we have conflicts, that we understand the acidic dimension of everything that surrounds us. Yes, I cannot live only on what is alkaline. The acid is by my side. It is part of my life, although it is a cause of my aging and my death. Because that is it. How much more do we become? Acids, the body is like this. That's why we need to drink water with a higher pH, right? Because it's more alkaline. When I drink a soda, for example, you get the idea. Soda is so acidic that to dilute it, the acidity it causes in your body. You need 20 glasses of water for a glass of soda. I was reading this week and saw an expert say that soda is the main cause of cancer. Why? Where does cancer grow? In acidic environments. Cancer cells, they grow in acidic environments. It's the acidification of the body that generates cancer. So can I become acidic because of food I eat and the feeling I have? For 1,000 reasons, I could become like this. And I live with a metaphor now, right? I can certify my body with a glass of soda, for example. Can I choose? How can I choose a glass of alkaline water? That will only do it good. With a pH above 77 and a half, preferably 89. It is in accordance with the pH of your body. Alkaline is life. The more alkaline we are, the healthier we will be. Emotional and spiritual maturity are the same thing. So I also deal with acidic realities, acidic people, acidic situations. But I can be alkaline. Alkaline is good. Situations are people. Or do I put a filter on them so that they don't come live inside me? Opinions, for example. The immature absorb all opinions. The mature do this. Do they listen? And are they able to absorb the ones that really matter? This is contrary to what I think, but it helps me grow. The immature, right? The immature absorb everything. Maturity allows us a filter. It puts a filter on us. And from there, we select what we want for ourselves. People, this applies to everything. People, situations, thoughts, words, images. The world is around me. I have 1,000 things to watch. My television is there with 300 channels. What I want to see. What will I allow? Let it come in? Let it become part of my feelings. Let it become part of my thoughts. This alkalizes me. Eating acidifies me. The word I choose today is sleeping with it. It's an alkaline word. Put a word, ace, the food I will choose to eat today before sleeping. However, I will still eat something. Will it bring me benefits or will it bring me harm? This choice, my people, that goes through our maturity. That's why there is no truly fulfilled person outside the process of maturation. Maturity is the vehicle that leads us to fulfillment. And if you want to call human fulfillment happiness or happiness human fulfillment, no problem. Personally, I like the expression reality fulfilled more than happy. Because within our imagination, happiness often does include sadness, and it's not quite like that. I can very well be a happy man, having problems in life. So, within the popular imagination, happy is the one who doesn't have problems. It's not quite like that. I can be a happy man, having many problems every day. Because happiness is existential comfort. Do I feel good about myself? I feel good facing the problems I face, experiencing the joys that make me happy. Yes, I know that despite it being difficult, I am on the right path. I am in the right place, where I identify that there is coherence between my being and the choices that hate me, between the situations that are around me. Coherence, a word that also helps us understand fulfillment. For me to be fulfilled, I need to be coherent. That is, the situations that are surrounding me are in accordance with who I am, what I hope for, with what I want. And this is only possible in the exercise of maturity. If I am not a more mature man, is it possible that I spend my entire life in incoherence without realizing or articulating anything to change it? He who chooses to mature never loses. We go for a quick break, and we'll be back soon with the Inspire Direction program.